All right, I'm going to segue to our current module, which is Career and Professional Development. If you look under modules, this is one that's already been published because we already talked about some of this briefly when you all told me your intended career and your majors, etc. So you'll find the content under that same module. So if you look here, it should be Synchronous 4. Of course, you'll see this page here with the videos and some extra videos I've included for your reference. So let's just jump into this. The main point behind this module is to ensure you know what resources you have and know, in a general sense, what you should be doing to plan for your career. I always say this in every single class: career and professional development starts from the freshman year. It starts from your very first class, preparing for your life after college and what you want to do and your trajectory and how to get there. It doesn't start your sophomore year. So choosing your major is a very important decision to make because you're choosing what you want to do the rest of your life. You're also choosing, based on many different variables and factors, what kind of lifestyle you will have, what type of lifestyle you'll be afforded based on salary and other variables like work-life balance. I mean, these are all questions that you need to ask. So the first thing I want to do is jump in here, and we're going to start with career and employment research. One of the best things you can start doing your freshman year is to start researching prospective careers within your major. One of the best way to do that is to go out and look at real world job postings in your field. Where do you think you want to end up? What city do you want to live in after you graduate? And what type of job do you want to have in that city? And then start searching through all of the online job databases and look at real world postings. It'll tell you a little bit about the minimum requirements, preferred requirements, and also it'll tell you really about just the minimum expectations of that job, but also salary. That's the best way to get started. If you want to learn about your field or your discipline in a general sense, you can go here. This is offered by Ethel K. Smith Library. It's Career and Employment Research Guide. So you'll notice there are various websites here. In the gray box, Career and Employment Databases, this is a collection of databases you can go to and search all of the items and issues within each field to understand what are the current market trends, what are the current contemporary issues in that field, or challenges, difficulties, benefits. It really helps to do the research through these databases because you're getting real world advice, oftentimes from real world practitioners about your major and the fields that stem thereof. And so these are all here. You can take a look. Also over here on the right, they've compiled a few career-based websites. I had a quick tech snafu there, so ignore that. These are career-related websites. So a lot of these are things you can find on the Office of Career Services website, such as the Focus 2 career assessment you've already done. There are a few other attitude-based and personality-based assessments that will help kind of gauge you, your interests, your behaviors, elements of your attitude, and puts together an amalgamation of results to tell you what careers you would be best suited for. And oftentimes there are careers you didn't know even existed. And so these assessments are all part of preparing. It's not just researching through these databases to better understand and conceptualize the jobs that you actually want to get, but you can also do these assessments on your own. You've already done Focus 2. You've had some results come of that. And then ask yourself real world questions about these results. You know, did I know these types of careers were available? What are the rigors or the demands and expectations of those careers? What major do I need to be in? What's the most appealing thing? What do I want to do the rest of my life and get paid for? And so these are all just different pieces of research that you can look at yourself. Something else that's really interesting is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is a government agency that actually shows you all different kinds of fields and what the increase in demand will look like over the next few years, whether the demand for physician's assistants or whatever the case may be, it will be increasing or decreasing. That's important. It also discusses average salary, mean salary. So it's a really good thing just to go to and get a snapshot of what your career interest really looks like in terms of salary as reported by the U.S. government. So yeah, I would encourage you just to check some of these. Also, the Cypress resume is a good resource to look at in terms of how do I start building my resume. Oftentimes, college students it's a daunting task to put a resume together when you may have very little or limited research. There are so many things you can do to start building a resume for yourself starting your freshman year. This will give you some tips. I'm also going to post a video on the module page that shows you step by step how to start building a resume for yourself. And I encourage all students to do that from your freshman year so that you already have a running tab of your experience, your education, related coursework that is associated with the career you want to go into. What types of involvement, what types of skills do you have with various softwares, etc. All right. One thing that I think is important is to research several different careers. I know that some of you are dead set, 100% serious about the major you've chosen. However, life happens. Academically, things happen, and sometimes you might not be able to complete a biology degree so that you can go to med school. It's always good to have some contingency plans. We call them parallel plans in academics. Have you 2 or 3, not only the ideal and what you want to do, have 2 or 3 contingency plans. What else can I do if plans change? What types of careers and what major covers the most career opportunities for me as a student? This is your time, your experience, and your investment in the rest of your life. So this research will have drastic impacts on not only the major you choose, but what you can actually logistically do with that after you graduate. Certain majors, the data shows, you can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website. Some disciplines and majors just do not pay what I think a lot of people think they will get paid. For instance, teachers, the average salary for teachers is anywhere between $32,000 and $45,000. There's very little you can do with that in terms of a luxurious lifestyle, and thus teaching tends to be one of those majors that people go into for the passion of it. But you have to go out and look that stuff up because it's going to dictate, again, your work-life balance and what you can do. Here's another good resource that's really, I think, probably one of the most beneficial things you can look at. What can I do with my major? This is from Berkeley. And so what you see here is a list of majors that most institutions offer or disciplines. And you can click on it and it will tell you everything you can do within that major. So it's kind of working backwards, not from interest to major, but from major to what else you can do with it. So for instance, here is advertising. It shows the different areas of account management, sales, developing, marketing. It shows various different types of employers for that field. And it gives you some strategies about how you can start building out the experience you need, how to start fleshing out your resume so that you are making yourself a competitive contender in terms of future job prospects. And so all of these go through that. This is just another tool you can use. And so for all of you that are undecided, this is a good starting point because it's really easy. You can go through and check, just see the different areas within certain disciplines. So for instance, communication, that's a wide umbrella of fields. You can work in health communication. You can work in PR. You can do organizational change and management. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. And so the most common areas of employment are here for communication. And so if you think you might be interested in that, you can look at some of these different fields, these types of employers, and start comparing what you see here with what you see in the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics to get an idea of salary. And then you can start pulling real world job postings to see what you need to do to get there. And so I just want to show that that's really important, something that's easy to use. And the goal here is that you combine all of these tools together so that you have a thorough understanding of what you're doing, where you're going, and how you're going to get there in terms of your major. Advising can help with that, but I always tell my advisees to keep their own separate binder or drive, thumb drive, that's separate for your career development. You can put all your advising materials in there. You can scan that stuff in, but you can also you can include all of this stuff that you're finding about different careers, and you can keep that updated throughout your time in college. And it's just a great tool to have with you, kind of a roadmap, your own personal roadmap to a career. You can include your assessment results like the Focus 2, and you can go in and take these assessments as many times as you want. As you go through and as your interests change, you can change that information. But I encourage you all to do that. Have some type of binder or notebook in which you can put all of these materials. This is the Careers Services website. We talked about this in class a little bit, and it's got some resources on it as well. What I really enjoy about their website is they have a breakdown by class standing and what you should do in terms of preparing for your career. And so they give you some generalized tips over here. But for instance, if you go here and click on freshman year, they suggest attending career-related events hosted by the Office of Career Development. So there's career workshops, career events, even lyceums. You can go to lyceums to learn more about certain graduate programs or fields in an area. And, so you can use all of these, make it work together, make it work for you. Attend lyceums that, you can accomplish two things at once, right? Research and keep a list of majors that interest you. So that goes along with all of the different resources I just showed you, and how you can put your research all together and have a resource you can go to that's unique to you. And then also visit the Office of Career Development to discuss career planning with your career advisor. Yes, you have a success coach, you have an academic advisor, but there's also professional advisors in the Office of Career Services that you can schedule appointments with to talk about all these things. You can talk about your assessments. You can discuss different majors, or if you're undecided, for instance, what major would be the most advantageous for you to follow based on your interest and what you want to do. One thing that's not on here is create a resume. That's the other bullet point you'd want to add. Go ahead and create your resume. And then 2, campus involvement. When you have no or little to no experience with real-world experiential learning within a major or field, the way that you supplement that early on is to join clubs, join organizations that have to do with not only your major, but something that's interesting to you, just a way to get involved. I usually tell new students, do something that's fun, a club that's fun or social, and then do something that is academic, related to your major. And oftentimes you get involved early on through those organizations. A lot of times at Wingate, we work with community partners and organizations, so you can actually use that experience through campus involvement to add to your resume. Then they have your sophomore year, junior year. A lot of these things overlap, but you'll notice that as you go through each of the class standings, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you're going to see more and more specific advice geared towards internships. And segue to my next point here. If you look over here, there's Handshake for current students. You have to get involved. Schools are pumping out, universities are pumping out thousands and thousands and thousands of undergraduate degrees in different majors. And you are competing with all of these other people who earned an undergraduate degree for jobs that are oftentimes very competitive because we're saturated with degrees in this country now. Everybody has a degree. And so unless you're in a very specific path to being a doctor, something like that, some of these other majors like psychology, sport management, criminal justice, you have to set yourself apart in some way. And the way you do that is getting involved. So at the freshman year, I suggest getting involved with shadowing, job shadowing, or observation. Those of you who will be embarking in the long, arduous world of graduate school, post-graduation, know that a lot of times you have to have observation hours, for instance, for PA or OT, any of those types of careers. You have to have 250 plus, depending, hours in the field simply observing before you can even entertain the idea of being an admission candidate for a seat in a graduate program. But everybody can benefit from shadowing. Your freshman year, this is the time you start reaching out to people you know, where you can start trying to figure out what are some opportunities where I can go and start shadowing myself. And guess what? You can put that on your resume. That's applicable real world experience. I tell freshmen after you get through your first year or so, that summer when you go home or do whatever you're doing, shadow